Yeah, you missed back in the day, pre-COVID. We used to have Monday morning reports where someone from the trip, someone from eight, myself, and radio. The four of us would go into a private room with the officer, and they'd pass around the reports. We'd copy stuff. We'd give us physical reports.
Oh, the days.
And it's the Monday after Oktoberfest. We'd work together, and someone would count up like public urination tickets.
Come on now.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak today that has not signed up to speak?
No, I'll play again.
And then just a friendly reminder for everyone, if you do come up to speak, you'll want to hit the button to be able to turn on the microphone, and it'll be red. And then when you step down to the podium, please turn off the microphone. Then there's no feedback.
All right, we're going to call meetings. Meeting of Board of Public Works. It's Monday, June 3rd at 10:01 a.m. All members of the Board of Public Works are present in council chambers, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting on May 28th. That motion made by Councilmember. That motion not made by Councilmember Dickinson, and a second by Director Train. Discussion on the minutes, additions, deletions. Seeing none, get your votes. Motion carries, minutes are approved. Our agenda this morning, the first item 24-0619, resolution approving 2023 compliance annual report for the Alton wastewater treatment facility. Superintendent Green was on the call. This is recommended for approval. Are there questions for Superintendent Green on this item? Yes, Councilor Schwartz.
Thank you. I'm wondering if Mr. Greeno could just give us a very brief, high-level overview of the report. I know we do this annually, and I appreciate his department's thoroughness in this report, but for public transparency, if we could have a brief overview and summary of it, I would appreciate that.
I don't think he may have dropped off. Yeah, we cannot. Again, this is recommended for approval, however, and it is an annual report as you were mentioning. So I would entertain a motion. Councilor Schwartz has a motion to approve and seconded by Councilor Dickinson. Any discussion on this? Sure, Councilor Schwartz.
Just so in regard to my last request, these are items that are available publicly on Legistar and on the agenda. I encourage folks to check out our annual reports as they can. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, cast your votes. Motion carries. Items approved. 24-0476, resolution approving partial vacation of public use right of way on the south side of Fisherman Grove. This is recommended for approval by staff. No questions for engineering on this item? Director Engineering.
So this is an item that came before us in April. I just want to clarify if there were any changes. There have not been as far as I'm aware of.
No, to the question, there have been no changes. The private party did supply a legal description and map, which were approved and reviewed by engineering, and those are attached.
Great, all right, and there's a motion to approve by Director Gallagher and a second by Councilmember Dickinson. Any discussion then? All right, cast your votes. Motion carries. That item is approved. 24-0650, report of quote proposals for 2024 street painting long lines project. There is a recommendation from engineering for certain lines a lot. Should be the long line street painter for 100,000 plus change. Director Gallagher has a motion to approve, second by Councilmember Dickinson. Any further discussion? Nothing else. They're really cool name for a company. All right, seeing no discussion, please cast your votes. Motion carries. Item is approved. 24-0723. This item was something that was referred to as last week's meeting, inviting merchants to choose their parking fees on the south side of the 1,000 block of Still Street. I know that there were some questions about whether the city was being asked to supplement PD spaces. Did you get answers to that? Deputy Director Swart, can you go?
I believe the questions were related to the available parking stalls that they had in their parking lots, and if they had enough ADA spots. Looking at it through Street View, they have 2 parking lots with a total number of about 50 stalls, parking the paint. And there were 2 designated ADA stalls.
Okay, so then these are additional.
Yes.
Very good.
So thanks, Mayor. I don't have anything else to say. But in conferring about this issue and looking at it, we did know that Stephanie mentioned that the church is currently meeting its obligations for a number of ADA spots, which is required for them to do within their own facilities. Spots on the street can't be counted for. That requirement has been some precedent set with that by the city. There also really isn't any precedent for the board taking up or approving any use in residential areas or for institutions just because the spot might be closer. The institution does have its own obligation to provide an accessible route to its entrance, the occupy its own property with public sidewalks, not necessarily street parking. In most cases, these requests do not come to the board. I'm not sure why it's one thing, they do not just deny them. I don't know if there's any further discussion anyone wants to add, but I do plan to make a motion to deny it for that reason. I think that's a precedent on this anywhere in residential areas like this, because then we would really have no basis to deny them in the future, and they would be able to.
Okay, I know there is someone that is from, Trinity who is here. Are there questions of the board from that individual? You know, that's here from, I'm not sure who the person is. Okay. Director Chang?
I would be open to offering him an opportunity to speak on this item without opening the public hearing, just answer any questions or
Sure.
just make a statement.
Yeah, if you'd like to come up. Press the button and identify yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Scott Henderson, representing Trinity Lutheran Church. I'm on the council there. The previous woman was correct. There are 2 ADA spots, but they're on the back side of the church. I'm not sure why they got designated back there. So we're asking for 2 more on the street that are much closer to the ramp, the handicap ramp that leads into the sidewalk on Shovel Street. Our congregation is aging. We have more and more people with walkers and wheelchairs. I think we need more spots for those people.
Sorry, follow-up question. Director Geller?
Sure, thanks for coming today. I guess he doesn't have.
If you want to come back up, there are questions for you, sorry.
Sure, I guess I wanted to ask, there's currently a scenario along the south side of Sill there that is already no parking that I believe was made so for drop off and pick up. Is that area still able to be used temporarily for people to access it? They don't need to really park there, right? They can drop off or pick up.
There's 2 or 3 spots right in front of the door on Sill Street, and then there's 2 more spots to the west that are regular parking. So those are the 2 that we're asking to be designated as ADA.
Okay.
And we'll continue with the drop-off area. Thank you.
Councilor Schwartz, yours again. Okay, Director Chang, yours again. Okay, any other questions then? Okay, great, thank you, sir. All right, so we are needing a motion on this item. I think, Director Geller?
Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and make the motion to deny, but I wanted to explain a bit further, that not only would I want to be put in a case where the city is providing these types of parking spaces for the institution, or meeting their obligation for them, but also that it's better use of the public space to allow them to drop off and pick up. In reality, if we did designate these as ADA spots, any neighbor from any adjacent property could park there and not be forced to move if they did have a valid license plate or permit for ADA. They could serve anyone, not be reserved just for the church, as these tend to not really serve the purpose they intended for.
All right, well, let's make sure that we have a motion on the floor and a second on that. Councilmember Schwartz has a second, the motion is to deny. Any further discussion? Okay, on the motion to deny, please cast your votes. Motion carries, request is denied. Thank you for coming here today, sir. 24-0734 Hess Street reconstruction exception to Boulevard slope. I know there's a narrative on here, but I'm assuming it's similar to what we encountered last week. Is that correct? Okay. And are there questions for engineering staff on this item? There is a motion to approve by Director Gallagher, a second by Councilmember Dickinson. Any discussion? No, please cast your votes. Motion carries, approved. 24-0742 request for signage over right of way for Gerhardt's and First Supply at 106 Cameron Avenue. There's some documents on the agenda associated with this. Any questions about that? Director Train has a motion to approve. Second by Councilmember Dickinson. Discussion, Director Gallagher.
My apologies, I didn't look through every document that was attached here. Is this going through the revocable occupancy permit process?
There it is. All right. The answer is yes. Okay. Get there. All right. So the motion on the floor is to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing that, question. The motion carries. That item is request is approved. 24-0769. There's group of responsibility. Director Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have 8 today. Apologies for the lengthy reading here, but it's that time of year when a lot of the big ones are renewing for their June 11 time. The first is Vision Sewer LLC for $433,926,185. The next is Hydro Clean LLC for $363,110,010. Kirky Excavating for $259,651,569. Chippewa Concrete Services Inc. for an approved amount of $39,961,468. Oregon Construction Inc. for $8,138,511. Partner Asphalt Sealers LLC for $125,437,000. Les Mansky and Sons Excavating and Landscaping LLC for $23,408,640. And Crosse Backhoe Services Inc. for $1,861,281. All have been reviewed and approved by finance.
All right. There is a motion to approve by Director Gallagher, second by Director Train. Any discussion of there's group responsibility? Okay, seeing no cash votes. Motion carries. That is approved. All right, we have. So we have, and these are the next 4 items: 24-073, 24-079, 24-0740, 24-041. Street privilege for request for max out energy for communications in the right of way in various areas of the city. These are, this was a mislabel. These are actually, it looks like gas infrastructure and all of these. Are there, in relation to any of these 4 items, other questions? Okay, so without objection, I just will move these together, these 4 items. And do I hear any objection to that? All right, so I'll take a motion on the 4 items that were read. Director Gallagher has a motion to approve, second by Councilmember Dickinson. Any discussion on those items? All right, seeing no cash votes. All right, the motion carries. Those are approved. 24-0743, Brightspeed Street Privilege Permit request for communication right away to Fannery Road. Any questions on that item? All right, entertain a motion on that then. Councilor Schwartz has a motion to approve, second by Councilmember Dickinson. Discussion. All right, seeing none, discussion. Okay, motion carries. That item is approved. 24-0510, Councilmember request to approve the addition of various tax parcels within the city of Crosse as can be prohibited on city-owned land in accordance with subsection 32-5 of the municipal code. This item was referred from 2 months ago with a desire to have more information on the specific parcels and gather some information. We certainly have done. There are a number of people here, I think, wishing to speak on this item. We would have to, this is not scheduled for public or notice for public hearing. Well, in any case, we'd have to entertain a motion to open a public hearing. Is there a motion on that? Director Train?
Move to open a public hearing.
Okay, is there a second? And second by Councilmember Schwartz. On the vote on the public hearing. Okay. By voice vote. All those in favor of opening a public hearing, say aye. Opposed? There are none. All right, public hearing. We'll follow the normal council rules for public hearing, 3 minutes. First speaker has a time limit with a total of 30 minutes total. And we'll start from the top of the list that I have in front of me. And that would be, the first person would be Eva Von Hayden. If you'd like to come up to the microphone and identify yourself and where you live. Thank you.
I'm Eva Von Hayden. I live at 14 Copeland Avenue, next to Festival Foods. When the city banned camping north of Riverside Park in March, people set up camp in the marsh behind our building. Even more streamed in from other areas. As you know, there have been many problems since then. We call emergency numbers at all hours, reporting screaming, profanity, and obvious violence occurring. Dogs run loose, unlicensed and unvaccinated. We've reported clusters of used needles on the trails surrounding our homes. Hazardous materials and human waste is polluting the marsh. Where will it all go when the whole parcel is flooded? We watch timber being harvested with axes and chainsaws, and there's open burning. We don't walk the Veterans Trail from Copeland to Lane Drive now for fear of aggression, solicitation, vicious dogs, or worse. Guns have been fired and drug deals take place on these trails and literally just outside our doors. Individuals actually check our doors, attempting to enter our building. This is all detrimental to the quality of life of the entire community. We don't feel safe, and many of those campers can't be feeling safe either. The longer this continues, the likelihood is that more violent crimes will occur. Pathways Home hopes to reach its goal in 5 years, by 2029. While everyone waits, we ask that you ban the camping in these marshlands and find a safer and more humane alternative. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next we have Diane Silva. Would you like to come up? Hold on a second. Do you have time? Okay, are you time? Is that up? Okay, good. Okay, I didn't see it. My apologies. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Diane Silva. I live at the Landings condos also, next to Festival Foods. I am speaking for myself, but also on behalf of my many concerned neighbors there. I know you've received a lot of letters. In April 2024, Crosse was named by a well-known magazine as one of the top cities in which to live in the United States. Among positive aspects cited were the outdoor activities and scenic river trails. I've lived in La Crosse since 1987 and agree that this has been a beautiful, safe place to live where neighbors care about one another. I hope this continues to be true. The situation that is currently going on in the marsh is a poor reflection on our La Crosse community. People are living in the marsh under really rough conditions. There is no clean source of water, no toilets, and a risk of flooding all the time, like today. There is illegal activity going on in the marsh that is threatening to those using the marsh trails, but also to those people that are peacefully trying to live there. The natural environment is being damaged from everyday trash and discarded belongings. Are the marsh trails still safe and family friendly? Would you recommend visitors to rent bikes in Riverside Park and ride along the trail to Myrick Park? Perhaps not, since needles have been found along the trail, drug deals have been witnessed in the vicinity, and loud, angry, foul language has often been heard. I don't think that's family friendly or healthy for anyone, adult, child, anyone. The River Point District is now being developed, and the nearby walking and biking trails have been cited as a positive aspect of living there. These trails need to be safe. Being close by Festival Foods is also a plus. Festival has recently had more problems with theft. The baskets now have sensors that prevent them from leaving the store, and many Festival carts have been seen in the marsh. Our largest employers in La Crosse are Gunderson and Mayo Clinic Health Systems. All of us in La Crosse County and City benefit from having quality medical care. In order for these institutions to attract and retain employees, the City and County of La Crosse, we need to maintain high standards for public safety and quality of life. That quality of life is for everyone here. We all need to feel safe. We all need to have a safe place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. The next we have, is it Chandra Rourke? Is it?
Chandra.
Chandra, sorry.
me speak. So my name is Chandra Rourke, and I have been a resident of La Crosse for 24 years. I'm a homeowner and a taxpayer. For every year I have been a resident, I have walked the Marsh trails or ran them. I use the trails for exercise, stress relief, and to clear my head after putting in my 40+ hour work week. Usually when I'm back there, I look around and enjoy the nature wildlife our city has to offer. I have always listened to music and never taken a phone with me until recent. I haven't felt the need to have my phone due to the fact that it is my time alone and I have always felt safe. As of recent, I no longer feel safe. Our marsh has become overtaken by the homeless population. I feel some of the people back there have beachfront property without paying for it. The garbage that's littered all over it makes me sick to my stomach. I see needles, human feces, garbage, and let's not forget the tents and the tarps. What an eyesore. All of this has taken away the beauty of our marsh. I now look in between the trash to see a crane or a white swan. I tried to talk with our mayor. All that happened there was a voicemail that was forwarded to a resource officer, which, by the way, our La Crosse police and our fire department don't get paid enough money. All I wanted to do was talk to you, and you couldn't even call me back. In my mind, a mayor is supposed to look out for his citizens and their best interests and safety in mind. Right now, I feel he is only looking out for one population, a population that is holding 51,000 people hostage. All I wanted to do was get my voice heard today. I have talked with the resource officer and my councilwoman about my concerns. I'm a very quiet citizen. I've never been in trouble. I don't even use social media. I just keep to myself. I have to speak up now because I am on guard in a place where I need to find solace. I am here today to ask you for your help in finding some other suitable housing for these people. They trash everything they touch and can contribute nothing. Last but not least, please know and understand that I am no stranger to addiction and mental health concerns, and some of that is going on back there. I sympathize with it, I truly do. I'm not trying to come across heartless, but enough is enough. There has to be some other resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mary Kay Kavanaugh.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Board of Public Works. Continuing to allow camping in the marsh is draining public resources. According to public records, there were 21 police responses to the area around the marsh between March 30th and May 2nd, and 20 fire responses between April 4th and May 21st. During a recent tornado watch, fire personnel went through to warn marsh residents and offer shelter at Copeland Park. We heard police go through again around 9:30 p.m. that evening asking, "Everyone okay there? Need anything? Need Narcan?" In a response to one of our neighbors in early May, Parks Department head Jay Odegaard responded, quote, "At this time, the Parks Department is doing the best we can in addressing the symptoms of homelessness, primarily focusing on trash and safety concerns. With the current city ordinance structure, encampments can't be removed from their present locations. The department's budget is extremely stressed with expense related to trash collection and needed private security contracts," end quote. In response to another neighbor last week, Mayor Reynolds stated, quote, "Outreach teams, including city and county staff and various private service agencies, are in close contact on site with all individuals twice a week. La Crosse police are engaged with these same individuals continuously. About once a week at various times of the day, I walk through most known locations where our unsheltered population gather and sleep. The La Crosse police chief, fire chief, and parks director do pretty much the same thing," end quote. There has to be a toll on the Parks Department staff who've had to clean up the Huska, Cameron, and River Point areas only to look forward to doing the same in the marsh. From a fiscal standpoint, it seems like a disproportionate amount of city resources are being used at taxpayers' expense to deal with issues that keep repeating themselves with unsheltered individuals. They are putting our Marsh residents, our first responders, city employees, and businesses and residents around the Marsh at risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lucas Di Lorenzo.
Okay, I'm Lucas Del Lorenzo, and I want to ask the city council and the board members here, where do you want the homeless to go? A coffin or an urn?
Can I ask you first, would you just tell us where you live? Thank you.
I live on State Street, across from the Salvation Army. Okay. And I used to live in Huska Park and the Econo Lodge. I know you personally helped me move out of Luther Park before Mayor Mitch. But yeah, I ask again, where do you want the homeless to go? A coffin or an urn? Because that's it. I don't see any options being provided, just where not to be. Don't be here, don't be there, don't be anywhere. Provide an alternative, then kick them out of places. Homeless people are still United States citizens and citizens of this city and have the right to be on the public land, whether you like looking at them or not. Okay, give them a place to go, then it won't be morally repugnant to just get rid of them. We didn't have these Marsh Trail camping problems and all this when we had Huska Park and the Econo Lodge. I was there. I asked for some kind of alternative, give them somewhere to go. What's wrong with Huska Park? Do that again, do something, give them a spot. And after Huska Park was closed, I went to a lot of funerals, because there wasn't any overdose deaths there. There was always somebody around to save them. So give them somewhere to go, please.
Thank you, sir. George Park.
Thank you, George Park. I'm here on behalf of the law firm Western Park, the 750 North 3rd Street, also the Chamber Building. And the last couple of months, things have changed dramatically in our neighborhood. And we've gone from I think, a respectable business commercial area to sort of a crime scene, constant police intervention, drug deals, we had a shooting, we had dog bites, we had litter, damage to property, on and on and on. I respect all of you and the efforts you're doing. It's a huge problem. This is the first 4 or 5 speakers. They're sincere. They're living this thing in a nightmare in their neighborhood. The last speaker, part of the issue, and he asked a good question. I think when you look at the history, we've gone downhill. It's getting worse. And Huska Park it had its issues, the Econo Lodge had its issues, Riverside Park, Kent City, and all up and down the Black River had issues. But none of them are worse than where we are right now with the bike trail. We're impacting every resident who uses the pedestrian bike trail. We're impacting the tourism business. What we advertise is available for people for biking, and at the same time, it's not safe for the campers. They can't get access down there. We've got flood issues. We have sanitation issues. So of all of the alternatives we have, none of them have been worse than where we are right now. I commend you for what you've done in the past, but we all need to get ahead of the problem, come up with a solution. And I think part of what you're doing today, considering banning camping from all public property, is a step in the right direction. We need to stop it, but we need to come up with a plan. And I don't know what it is. You're smarter than I am. You've dealt with this for a long time. But where we are right now is not where we need to be. As Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. We need to get ahead of the issue this time. We need to be creative. We need to come up with a plan. But letting them stay in the marsh is not good for anyone. Thank you very much for your time and all your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Keel.
thank you for allowing me to talk today. So, Keel from Crosse. I'm really here today to ask you to vote no on adding these parcels to the camping ban list. I think we have a really good plan in place, and I know that right now it does not feel like that because we are going through a lot of those struggles. But this 5-year Pathways Home Plan has a lot of forward momentum right now. I've been fortunate enough to be able to join the homeless outreach team a few times, and being able to see this forward momentum and the way that they're able to, right now, we're really working on getting the list, right? We know that, and finding these people. Banning this, and I understand that this has been a precedent and we've done that work at the end of the road. They have done a really good job creating this list, and this, I personally feel, will set the 5-year plan back. It's going to drag it out even longer, and we're gonna continue these issues. We need to really focus on evidence-based practices. I think that is huge, and that is what that 5-year plan was built on. Banning camping hasn't worked for any cities. I know this is not a good situation for either side, but it's really important to work towards a sustainable, long-term solution. If there's another solution besides down there in these parcels, I fully support another solution. I know, many would. That's not here yet, so I would ask that we say no to this, that you say no to this, because of that situation. It's gonna start a lot of processes over again. This Friday, I was able to join outreach team, and they were able to locate an individual they were looking for 2 weeks. So after the ban happened down at Riverside, there was then again a big, obviously this person, they can't find those people. Certain individual, I had to witness them find this individual, but it took 2 weeks to do that, and they were on the top of this list. So that is a huge piece of it, to keep the list moving, to keep them getting into housing. So again, I know that this is a tough decision, and voting yes or no is not a solution. I do think voting yes for this is going to hurt the solution that we are trying to put forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Swinghammer?
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Mike Swinghammer, I'm an architect, Everywhere Architects, co-owner of the building that's literally 10 feet away from the trail.
Mr. Swinghammer, what municipality do you live in?
Pardon me?
Can you tell us what municipality you live in?
I'm sorry.
Where do you live, sir?
I live in Brownsville, Minnesota.
Okay, thank you.
Literally, our building is 10 feet from the trail. My office window is on the 2nd floor. We've been there since 2008. And I see the activity day in and day out. I literally watch the trail 8 hours a day and beyond. We see the activity that's going on, but really what has tipped us over the top in May 15th, there was an incident that happened down there, and 6:30 at night, there was some gunshots that happened along the trail, and there was fights out in the cul-de-sac, and the guy was flashing a gun. It was one of the homeless, and they're acting like they were gonna fight. The fight didn't break out. The cops came there immediately and broke it up. But we see people with knives, we see the needles, we see all that stuff. But things that are happening are real. Bullets are real, gunshots are real, and totally concerned about safety of the workers for us, but we have tenant space, and certainly concerned for the people that are walking the trail and the public. That it's just totally got out of hand, something that needs to be done. Mayor, the last time I was here, you talked about having the right not to be patient, and I see it day in and day out, and to be honest with you, my patience has run out a long time ago. This needs to be acted on, and acted on quickly. I don't have solutions for you. I don't know what the short-term solution is. I don't know what the long-term solution is. It's extremely complex. I get all that, but something needs to be done to to solve this issue along the trail and the river. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Rick McGarry?
Good morning, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Rick McGarry, and I've been in the River Architects Building at my office since 2012. I want to lead by
Where do
saying.
you live, sir?
Pardon?
Can you give us your municipality, where you live?
I live in Onawasca.
Thank you.
I want to be upfront and say I have a tremendous amount of compassion for the homeless community and that are being affected by this. And I know that there is no easy solution to this, and I think that's really important to emphasize. That being said, clearly something needs to be done to help this community of people. I mean, I saw it, I've seen it evolve over a number of years. And obviously now that it's right at the River Architects Building in that area, it's having a significant impact that's not positive for anybody, for them, for us, for residents that are in the condos, and for people that have the professional capacity in that area like myself. And I don't know what the solution is, and I realize there's no magic pill or fix-it button. But I do think that it's an opportunity for the city to take a really, aggressive, or not aggressive, that's the wrong word, but positive approach, maybe looking at other communities of similar size to the city of Crosse that where it's worked in those communities. And take leadership and actually maybe even make a difference that can help other communities of this size. But I do want to share some examples of how it's affected me and others professionally in that area. So as I said, I've been there since 2012. I've enjoyed that area. I walk that trail very frequently, usually 3 or 4 times a week. But over the last year in particular, it's changed significantly. I've seen weapons openly exhibited, knives. I've not seen any guns, but I've seen knives, I've seen pipes, I've seen people throw fire. Actually, I didn't see the people throwing the fire, I saw the aftermath of the fire. Sorry. And it's obviously an issue. I've come to the front entrance of our building to find people passed out. I've found human excrement in front of our entrance. I've found needles in front of our entrance. And I've been on video calls and people right outside my windows on the first floor yelling and screaming while I'm on a video call. I have to actually say, sorry, I need to cut this short. And it's very disruptive. But again, I want to emphasize that I realize that it's not just me, it's everybody, and we need to figure something out that's going to help them. So I hope the city can do something. I know that it's not easy. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some compromise. It's going to take some compassion. But I urge you to do something. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. John Ellison?
Good morning, I'm John Ellison, and I live in the Landings condominium. I'm also on the condominium association board, and I'm not going to repeat what's already been said. I think there's plenty of people that can speak in regards to the specifics that you're hearing. What I wanted to mention is the fact that our building is not just occupied by mature adults. It's not just mature adults that are being negatively affected. We've got young children and young families in this building. We have a lot of grandchildren that come and visit their grandparents in this building. And I know that there are many of these families that have aborted those plans because of what's going on behind us. It's right out our back door. It's not, we don't have a buffer of land and then river and then kind of a hidden area. This is right out our back door. You can see people walking and camping like it's right out of your deck. So these young kids, these children, it's well documented. Studies are well documented. The young kids that are exposed to this kind of stuff that's been talked about has potentially lifelong negative effects on their mental health. That's a fact, and that's just something that I had not heard anybody bring up yet, but I wanted to mention that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Ellison. Rocks, is it? Sorry, I don't know what your answer was.
I think Rocks, Maria.
Okay, thank you.
I live in the Crosse. I only really signed up to speak because I wanted to make sure Lucas spoke. He has lived experience and he's amazing. He's been on drugs for 10 months. And he has an apartment. And he saved a lot of lives when he lived in Scott. That's what I'm talking about. There's safety in numbers. It may not be pretty to look at, but keep in mind that you're looking at them from the comfort of your home. You have a bed to sleep in, you have food in your fridge, and you have clean clothes in your drawers. People don't have that. You can't vote yes on this unless you have somewhere for them to go. You're going to kill them. And that karma will be incurred by all of you who vote yes. And I wouldn't want to deal with that.
Great, thank you. Alicia, can you give us a cumulative time check where we? 23 and a half. All right, move on. Dave Scallucas next.
Good morning, my name is Dave Scallucas. I live in the land use condo as well. I'm speaking to you today as part of the city's zoning regulation for the floodway. The city of La Crosse is allowing camping in the floodway in the lands between the S4 and Veterans Trails from Colton Bridge to Monitor. According to the floodplain zoning map, these lands, some city-owned and some privately owned, are in the floodway. Camping is not listed as a permitted use of land in the floodway. There is further prohibition in the zoning code for the floodway on uses, quote, not in harmony with or detrimental to uses permitted in the adjoining districts. The Landings neighborhood of 44 homes in the district that abuts the floodway. Landings residents have repeatedly objected, as you've heard, on reasons why it is detrimental and not harmonious. There are further prohibitions on habitable structures and on the presence of materials that are moist, flammable, explosive, injurious to property, water quality, or human, animal, plant, fish, or other aquatic life. I find it noteworthy that the risk of flooding was cited as the reason campers were dispersed from the area along the Black River in the River Point district in April. As we have seen, flooding is just such a risk in the area where they were permitted to resettle. Both areas are in the floodway district. It is time for the city to respect the requirements of zoning. The primary goal of zoning, after all, is to protect health and human safety.
Thank you. Bob Weathers.
My name is Bob Weathers and I live at 14 Copeland Avenue. We are appealing to the city and county to work together to provide a compassionate short-term solution to the unsheltered population. The Pathways Home Project is a great long-term solution, but does little to help with the current situation. Although unintentional, we find it disturbing to witness the state the unsheltered population is living in. Legitimate complaints have been voiced regarding the impact the encampments in the Marsh are having on public health, safety, and the environment. But there has been little dialogue addressing the known and untenable conditions under which these individuals are living. In total, the city and county own over 1,000 tax parcels. Knowing this, we find it difficult to believe that there are no suitable interim sites. We are aware that these efforts have not been successful in the past, but know that part of the reason was due to overcrowding. Designating multiple locations instead of only one could provide space for a limited number of people at each site thus ensuring greater safety and supervision. You have information on other cities who have successfully implemented plans using this model. Their results have been effective, more economical, and more humane, since they eliminate the periodic displacement and cleanup of the undesignated sites we have here. Implementing this type of interim plan, similar to the one proposed by council members Kalo and Jansen, would enable the city to designate the Marsh parcels as no camping zones. It would help ease the pressure on city resources by having sites that are accessible, safer, and require fewer emergency services. It would benefit the unsheltered, while at the same time end the current destruction of the marsh and restore it as a safe, quiet, and beautiful city resource. In contrast, the 24-hour camping limit proposed by the mayor would change nothing and be difficult to enforce. Finally, the county needs to step up. They have the financial resources, facilities, and organizations that are necessary for an interim solution. County residents share our city's amenities, so this is their responsibility as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we're running short on time, the original half hour. There's really just 4 other people who have signed up, so without objection, we'll allow enough time for all 4 to speak. Is that all right? Any objection to that? I hear none. Then we'll move on to, and I can't read the last name, but Carrie, starts with J is the last name. Carrie something.
Hello, my name is Luke Sampson, and I'm actually going to be speaking on Carrie's behalf.
Okay, pretty good.
I live in Crosse over by a Mayo Clinic.
Okay.
Earlier today, a gentleman said that he and his fellows are living a nightmare, but they're having that nightmare in the warmth of their own homes, and they're just feeling inconvenienced. I ask you to see the homeless population as a group of individuals who are living an unfortunate life. And if any of you become homeless, would you still vote yes? People can't recover and grow when they are constantly suffering from fight or flight. So individuals make poor choices when they get hit with desperation. These folks are surviving in the wilds of La Crosse, and in my opinion, they are more human than any of us. The middle and upper class turn on their TVs and watch shows about surviving the elements and hold those stars in high regard. The only difference between those survivors and our homeless is that the survivor gets to go home when they are done. Are you inconvenienced by the homeless? How do you think they feel? It's very inconvenient to be homeless. Just think about that, and I hope you vote no. Homelessness is not something that is fixed out of sight, out of mind. It just relocates people to another area, inconveniencing more other people. It may not be your community, but they are still a community. Of people gathered together that form a group, and they stick together and help each other. Voting yes would be discrimination towards a growing minority group that are vulnerable and eclectic. Please vote no and work together to solve this epidemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Hunt.
Kevin Hunt, Crosse. So first off, let me point out that we were right. We were right a year ago. So let's move forward operating under the in the world where we live, where people like me who are saying that camping bans would be a disaster were right, because we were and we are. So if we were right then perhaps we're right now. So yes, I agree that allowing this camping is a disaster. However, as in June, as in previously, clearing Guska, as in earlier this spring, camping is a disaster, and also clearing the encampments is a disaster. So which disaster would you prefer? We are dealing with choices of disasters. At this time, the disaster of allowing people somewhere to be is the lesser disaster. Let's also consider the possibility that homeless people are making what they feel is their best decision at the time. Yes, nobody wants them there, least of all themselves. But they are there for reasons. Like, they're people who make decisions with their own minds and willpower. Let's stop treating them as objects or animals. I was at the executive committee meeting on Thursday, and I thought that was extremely embarrassing for everyone involved and for the city as a whole. I don't know what is going on with Pathways Home, but we're now 6 months into 2024, and I have seen basically nothing. I was part of Pathways Home community planning last fall, and it's really annoying, I guess, disappointing that there have been basically no updates about what's been going on for the last few months. So in the meantime, we need surge shelter. That hasn't materialized. I think the big problem here is that there seems to be this delusion that we can solve this for free. We need to just admit this is going to cost a lot of money in the short term, medium term, and long term. I pay attention to capital improvements projects. I see that in the budget there are multiple streets programs that are street reconstructions that routinely go into multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. You just cancel one of those and use the money to pay for keeping people alive. Also regarding shelter, yes, some people will not go to shelter because of restrictions or safety issues or conflicts with other people in shelter, so there will have to be some camping pretty much permanently. So I think this committee needs to remove a parcel from the 32-5 ban, such as Hooston Park, where at least neighbors were not complaining when it was there. People's right to use one park for recreational activities is secondary to people's right to engage in basic survival activities and having a place to go. Also, there is the imminent decision on the Supreme Court case relevant to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Caitlin Collins, is it?
Hello, my name is Caitlin Combs, and I've lived in La Crosse for 22 years with no intention of leaving. From November 2022 to November 2023, an average of 4 people died in La Crosse due to a lack of basic human needs: food, shelter, weather-appropriate clothing. The purpose of the Board of Public Works is to promote safety and public welfare of this community. Instead, you are here licking the boots of neighborhood Karens, systematically targeting an entire group of people based on their socioeconomic status.
Thank you.
Hold on. There we go. We've got a nice clean table. Except the problem is still here, isn't it? I am watching you making these camping ordinances, enforcement decisions, knowing that I could easily become one of these tents. You treat me with respect now because I have a roof over my head and my clutter is contained within 4 walls. It's raining right now. How am I supposed to get a job if all the electronics I own are in a soaking wet backpack? How are our social services supposed to find people and meet their needs when they are scattered all over the floor? I understand that Pathway Home is underway to achieve functional zero homelessness, but you are willfully ignoring the needs of La Crosse residents now. I understand this is a multi-pronged problem that requires a multi-pronged solution. I understand that this is a community problem and the whole of the La Crosse community needs to be involved. If you would like to enable me to be a part of the solution, then stop letting people weaponize our police force. I can't let someone live on my own property because the second a neighbor or a nosy passerby calls it in, they will have to leave. A local church tried to allow people to exist on their property, and you threw the proverbial book at them. They no longer exist. Stop passing the buck and start telling people where they can go instead of where they can't. Don't give me the bull hockey topsoil excuse. There's plenty of unused asphalt in the city, plenty of space that's out of sight. Start enabling those of us that want to help, to be able to help until there is infrastructure in place to address these needs. Wisconsin's Constitution says all people are born equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. You are stripping away life from unsheltered people. You are suppressing their liberty. You are placing barriers to their pursuit of their wellness, let alone their happiness. I do not give my consent for these parcels to be included as camping prohibited because we're not really talking about camping, are we? We're talking about survival. I'm almost done.
Okay, thank you.
The people on these city, we are talking about survival. Please vote against or postpone this vote to prohibit the survival of people on these city parcels until there are sufficient social structures in place to meet the needs of these residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Al Shute. I live at 5105 Grandwood Place West in La Crosse. I moved here in 1975 and the downtown has been my place of residence as well as my business. We do have a business downtown since 1981 and it's right at the epicenter of the area that we're talking about. It's right on the trail. Our La Crosse community is diverse, and to me, that's one of its many attributes that I admire. It is made up with people of all kinds of physical, intellectual, financial, cultural, and ideological preferences. We live with these differences by agreeing to a code of fairness, respect, compassion, and compromise. It comes apart when these differences are not honored by both parties, and each does their own thing without concern for the impact on the other party. We then make choices, individual choices, to disassociate, not care, avoid, disrespect rights, trespass, break laws. Our homeless situation in our location is at this point right now. My connection to it via our business location has now risen to the point that my employees and our renters do not feel safe to be at work. My staff experienced working remotely during COVID, and a lot of people in this room went through this same experience and they chose to return to work and come back afterwards. Even with remote work being a viable option for these people in our office, they have still chosen to come back and like the collaboration that goes with it. But the unsafe homeless settlement has motivated them to abandon the preferred in-office arrangement to the safety of their home. In addition, we have other tenants and future tenants as we rent this space to others that have expressed their deep concerns for the situation that's there now. The trespassing on our property, disregard for sanitation, noise, language, weapons, drugs, trash, you've heard all about this morning, and lack of communication for our proximity have made our compassion for their lifestyle untenable. We do respect your work on the pathways home and the plan to end homeless in La Crosse. But until the plan's objectives are realized, we need an implementation strategy that addresses immediate concerns of property owners and the homeless, not just the property owners, but the homeless too. Thank you for your efforts and your consideration.
Thank you, sir. That is a list that we have. So, yes, I'm going to, we'll ask you questions, if that's okay, Councilmember Jansen. Because you're obviously the sponsor of this legislation, so we can wait until we get to the discussion part. It's all the same to you?
Fine.
Okay. Is there an objection to closing the public hearing? All right, close the public hearing then, and then we'll move on to, there's a motion to approve. No, this is the last one. I'm sorry. We do need a motion. Oh, wait. Before we do that. Oh, it's a public hearing. Okay. I didn't realize we had that on the screen. My mistake. All right. Councilmember Jansen, would you like to describe then several now weeks ago when you brought this forward what your intention was?
Thank you, Mayor. So by bringing this request forward, my intent was to eliminate encampments in the marsh because of health and safety reasons. And I won't repeat everything that I said the last time, but and it was, as I also suggested, that there were much better alternatives. If we're gonna pick a place to allow people to camp, I think the marsh is probably one of the unhealthiest options available. So, as I mentioned, previous meeting, I believe, this board has the option to reverse your decision about, camping at, City Hall property. In theory, the way the ordinance is set up right now, any of these individuals could go and, sleep overnight, at any city property that's not already on the list of banned properties. I do believe that, providing a location makes a whole lot more sense rather than just, saying, no, you can't here. Let's just be upfront and say, no camping on city property except for, and for these specific hours. I think that's last resort. Personally, I think that, if anyone wants to sleep outside, because there are people that refuse to, take help, the DNR offers, various parcels that you can, I believe, stay for free for up to 10 days, 14 days. Maybe we need to go directly to the governor and ask to use the beautiful green space over on, South Ave at the state building. I believe the county has multiple campgrounds, that are available, that are literally set up for camping, that specific purpose. So I believe, that's also an option that have to be considered. Those that are against banning camping in the marsh, and I quote, camping, encampments are unsafe, hazardous, for human health. So, I guess the other point is that we're talking about behavior as well. As long as I've lived in the city of Crosse, there have been people that lived in the marsh here and there. Their behavior was not an issue. But with these numbers, it's out of control. And the behavior is definitely out of control. So, with that, I would, my co-sponsor probably would have a few things to add.
Yeah, Councilman Goddard.
In speaking with many residents and different business owners in and around the city, every conversation, and I'm not exaggerating, leads back to the homeless and shelter issue. I've not just sat behind this computer or in my warm home. I've gone down to the park, or I've gone down to the areas where the homeless and the unsheltered reside, and I've asked questions. Where are you from? Why did you come to La Crosse? What makes La Crosse attractive? We keep saying that these are La Crosse residents, and I understand that we want to be compassionate and we want to be humane, but a lot of these young people and older people aren't from La Crosse. Maine, South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, and the list goes on and on. But the one thing that we keep talking about is the compassion for the homeless. And I understand that better than not better than anything, but excuse my black words there. But what is compassionate or humane about letting them live in subhuman conditions? What is humane about letting them live in a criminal subculture that preys upon them? And then you have to turn around and look at the residents who live near and close to it. It's all fine and good to say it's fine, and we should be compassionate when we're looking at this situation from afar because it's not in our backyard. So then it becomes fine or whatever. But when it comes to you being threatened, when it comes to you being assaulted, when it comes to you being too intimidated to walk out of your apartment to go to a grocery store, something's got to give. And I'm just saying that we are putting all our money on the Pathways Home, which we don't know what that will do. I think that there needs to be a short-term situation, but the thing is, we need to figure out how to get this problem to stop growing. Not to, we settled something now, and what stops this from just growing? We've got to make lacrosse less attractive to be homeless in and more safe for everyone to live in. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so we will need a motion on the board to proceed. A motion from the board. And the item before us is the council request to approve the addition of the various tax parcels. Councilor Dickinson.
I listened to all of this and I still stand firm. I believe I would like to make a motion to deny.
There's a motion on the floor to deny. Is there a second? And there's a second by Councilmember Schwartz. So the motion on the floor is to deny. And the second by Councilmember Schwartz. All right, discussion. Councilor Dickinson.
Well, I just feel like we've moved this forward as far as we can. And we keep saying where people cannot be. And I need to put my faith in the Pathways Home project and plan. And that is why I'm not wishing to move this so that people disappear to a new space.
Thank you. Other discussion. Councilmember Schwartz.
Excuse me. So what I would add to Councilmember Dickinson's remarks, over the last several years of conversations on this topic, as our city continues to struggle and find a way to make our community safe for absolutely everyone who comes into our borders, for long term or short term. What I would add is that I welcome a short-term solution. I know that 5 years feels a long time. I also believe we have to give our plan that is rooted in research and all of those suggestions that people have brought forward to us to look at other cities and what other people are doing. That's exactly what we are doing. We are looking at those things to find a way to truly be a city where people don't have to be outside because they have no place else to go. And we today do not have another place for people to go. And that's the truth. Not today and not tonight. I welcome a plan that would give us someplace short term and get people out of the marsh. I welcome that plan tonight. We don't have it. I do think we are going to have to resource and leverage a lot of money for this. And I also don't know where that's going to come from. But we don't know where to put those resources until we know the need that's out there. And that's what the 5-year plan is doing. We're understanding the need so that we know when we have to make those big, big investments and we have to call on our county counterparts to join us, please contact your county counterparts. We will know where to invest that right. So in the long term, I believe that our 5-year plan will get us there. I know it is super painful and really difficult and absolutely untenable for all of us now. So I welcome short-term plans. I know there's conversations in the community and here in council and at City Hall around those. We have not found that short-term solution yet, but that does not mean that we aren't looking at them. There are conversations happening. So I'm gonna be voting against banning additional parcels today. I don't wanna scatter more people. I don't believe it will ultimately help us get to where we need to go in the end.
Director Train?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a big one. So I want to address some of the things that were discussed by some of the members of the public today and answer some questions. So there were comments regarding finding safer, more humane alternative, suitable housing, and we 100% agree. Today, we don't have that. I want to assure everyone who isn't updated on every day of the work of the Pathways Home, but it is happening every single day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We are meeting and discussing and collaborating and reaching out and talking about fundraising and doing everything we can to get these people safe, humane, suitable housing. It is of the utmost priority. And it is of the utmost responsibility to everyone in this room and everyone in the county, whether you know someone living on those trails or don't know someone living on those trails. So we're begging you to be patient and work alongside us and not against us as we're trying to move this plan forward. It is so important and it is the responsibility of all of us to help find housing. I agree that continuing to ban is not getting us anywhere further. When we had people staying at River Point District, it was the same amount of people calling us daily. It was just a different group of faces. They were affected differently. The effect that this has on you is not going unseen. But if they aren't here, they're going to go somewhere else. And we need to find long-term solutions and be able to find these people, have these people in contact with our service organizations, make connections, get them on the Pathways to Housing plan, figure out what their individual needs are to find suitable housing for them. Continuing to displace them and push them out of sight and out of mind is not getting us anywhere, and it's not helping the members of these communities. So I will also be voting against this ban.
Thank you. Director Gallagher?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate everyone coming here today and voicing what they said. Clearly, I think the large scope of this issue and the passion we've seen tells me one thing, that this issue needs to be pushed back uphill to the council. So I came here not really knowing how to vote. I feel like I'm in a weird position of needing to advocate for a lot of the city staff and for infrastructure concerns. But also when wearing my resident and citizen hat, I wholeheartedly hope that I'm outvoted 4-1. But I think some recognition needs to be made of the fact that I think it's already arguably currently or was previously illegal to camp anywhere in the city regardless. I do have concerns about the floodway issue that several of the parcels in question deal with floodway enforcement and zoning issues. Lastly, several easements that the city has through some of these properties that are owned by private utilities can be put in jeopardy if there are certain activities that go on. And so that's a concern to me. And so for those reasons, I think the issue does need to be pushed to the council to find some sort of legislation that not only makes sense, but also is enforceable and works with every comment that we've heard here today. Some of the things I hear continually in weekly meetings, and I'm glad came to light at the recent executive committee meeting, were those of the PD and the fire department and Parks and Rec, who have acknowledged that in some cases there are, open air drug markets going on, that the ability to provide rescue or response to the marsh is very difficult, and the fact that the cleanup is difficult and not impossible in some cases. I'm acutely aware of the fact that either right now there have been or recently were 9 of the 12 active council members listening to this meeting or in this chamber. So hopefully you all take seriously the idea of changing this, because I feel this board is set up to fail with this vote. I don't think it's a Board of Public Works issue alone. I realize that my vote in voting no against this, which is actually for the resolution, would be a setback to Pathways, and so that's another reason that I acknowledge that I hope I'm outvoted on this, but will probably be voting against that motion.
Thank you. There's just I want to echo what Director Gallagher said, that there has been ongoing conversations with our, when we meet with staff weekly to go over our homeless response. I think this has been called in the Marsh the worst possible place for camping to occur in the city of Crosse, because there is simply no, the access for police and fire personnel just does not exist. It is just almost impossible for cleanup to occur. We have accumulation of tremendous amounts of garbage, and it's just, in this area, it's impossible to get to. When we vacated the area north of Riverside Park, it was with the understanding that that area was bound to flood as it does every year. It did. And certainly then people relocated to areas that are just almost inaccessible, and at least in some ways dangerous for our personnel to get to. So just from an operational standpoint, the areas where people have settled is completely untenable. In relation to garbage removal, police response, and EMS response. So it is also just a monstrous health disaster all the way around. I don't think this board, no matter how it votes, is not voting against people camping in the city. There has to be consideration about where that camping occurs. There are some serious concerns about being in a floodway. Regardless of how we vote on public parcels at the Board of Public Works, the Marsh contains a number of other parcels that are not owned by the city of La Crosse, including the state of Wisconsin and the county, and the state through the DNR, the DOT, hundreds of acres of additional land in the Marsh that we have no control over. So, and again, if there were, and there are other places where people will settle, but are not in areas that are as impossible to get to as this is, or just inaccessible for police and fire personnel. In responding to emergencies, we often put personnel at risk, which is a consideration that I think our city should have, but I agree with Director Gallagher that this should never have been a Board of Public Works item to these camping bans should never have been in front of the Board of Public Works. It should have been a policy that was established by the City Council. And so we are where we at, I guess. All right, any further discussion on that? All right, seeing on the motion on the floor is to deny. On the motion, please cast your votes. The motion carries that item is denied. All right, and that brings us to the end of our agenda without objection. Open meeting adjourned.
Good article, Kaden. A little bit overdone on the what do you call that when you make those similes?
Oh,
what do you call those? Metaphors.
Yeah.
Metaphors.
They're fun.
Overboarding. Like, damn. Anyway, cool.
It was the visuals, and that's what I saw. So they're fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
I'll be back in 4
Should grab a resident too.